My name is Miguel Mata, first-generation American, retired military veteran, and now full-time college student. In my lifetime, I've come to meet people from all walks of life, from every corner of the country and most parts of the world, and what I can tell you is, everyone has a story. On this channel, I plan to share those stories with you and prove that despite the differences that make each of us who we are as individuals, fundamentally, we are all the same. I believe through the common thread of overcoming challenges, caring for our loved ones, and helping our communities, the rest of us will realize that our world is actually much brighter than some would make us think. And now, to shed more light, This Way Out. Hello, welcome back to This Way Out. Miguel Mata, and we are now in Season 2. I'm calling it Season 2 of This Way Out. We've improved a couple of things with production, to increase the production value a little bit. Today I'm sitting here with, we've got a few titles, so I'll just use the, if you don't mind, I'll use the proper, I'll refer to you properly, and then if you don't mind scaling back a little informal as we talk. But this is Dr. Vanessa Smallsbryant, also United States Air Force Chief, retired Vanessa Smallsbryant. So, Dr. Smallsbryant, or Chief
Call me
Smallsbryant.
Vanessa.
But we will call you Vanessa. Okay, so I've been given the green light.
Yes.
I've been given the green light to address you as Vanessa. And I do appreciate you doing this with me today. This is a project, I think you might have looked into it yourself a little bit. This is a project that I'm getting a little more and more passionate about.
Okay.
You know, as with every interview, I'm trying to put a little light in the world, if you will. There's actually a lot of good in the world, and there are a lot of good people. Another part of this project is I'm trying to highlight just regular, average, everyday people like you and I, and the people who watch these videos, to show them that there are people who are experiencing challenges and they're overcoming them. You know, they're pushing past them. And that's why I asked if you wouldn't mind sharing your time and telling your story. If you don't mind, Vanessa, you mind telling us a little bit about yourself, personal self, like early childhood, that sort of stuff, you know, like where are you from, you know, what were your interests, hobbies, that sort of stuff?
Charleston is home for me. I'm born and reared here. My parents are from Charleston, and I'm from a military family. My dad was in the Army, and he said, whatever you do, don't go in the Army, only because of his struggle. I mean, he was, you know, patriotic, and so I came home and said, I want to go in the Marine Corps. And he goes, whoa, didn't see that coming. You know, my mom, interesting enough, was a stay-at-home mom until the last baby. There were 6 of us. Left the Nassau, got into, I think, 3rd or 4th grade, and then she went to school and became a nurse. And as crazy as it sounds, she ended up being a nurse at the VA hospital, taking care of veterans.
Yeah, interesting.
And my mom and dad passed away 8 months apart from each other, and I had just come into the military. So it's interesting that for the sacrifice and service that they gave differently, but to, you know, the United States, that they didn't get to see their children, you know, carry on that legacy.
Right.
And I'm pretty proud of that.
Right.
Like I said, I'm one of 6. We lost our youngest sibling 18 months ago, so it's fairly fresh. And I just want to make the world a better place than how I found it.
Right.
I believe that that's our God-given responsibility and task.
Right.
I take that very seriously. This is kind of strange to be here.
Okay.
It's flipped because normally I'm the one asking all the questions.
Right.
I want to find out how things work, how it operates. So I'm a little out of my comfort zone.
Right,
to
understand.
be very,
Yeah, I
very
understand.
honest with you. So thank you for letting me sit like this.
Yeah, no.
Thank you for letting me sit around my cowboy gear.
Yeah, go Cowboys. Go Cowboys.
And for sure, thank you for letting me have Mickey here.
Absolutely, you are very welcome. first, this is your home, and far be it from me to ask a chief to rearrange anything. You know, I've been retired for a little while, you've been retired for a little while, but there are just some things that you just can't get out of your system. And one of the things is that, you know, what chief wants, chief gets. You know, you were showing me around your place when I first got here, and you talk about legacy, you know, military legacy. Military legacy is, I think, I don't know if that's the right word for your family. You've got a significant number of people that have joined the service and had long tenured careers. You know, do you mind sharing? Some of those people?
Altogether, oh my gosh, altogether, over 125 years of service to these United States of America. And I'm excited about that. And that not just our military members, but that includes my sister who worked for the Department of Defense and just retired, 2 years ago today, with over 40 years of service.
My goodness.
So patriotism runs deep,
right?
You know, and so we represent the Department of Defense, we represent the Army, the Marine Corps, and the Air Force. And
right.
So we're very, 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 very proud of that.
I'll tell you what, you know, I don't think that I'm overstepping here by saying that on behalf of a grateful nation, thank you for your and your family's loyal and faithful service. I mean, it takes commitment and sacrifice, I imagine. You know, there was plenty of that for not only you, but the rest of your family. It takes a special type of commitment, a special type of person to be able to commit over 100 years of service, you know, in the service of our country. And goodness gracious, it's something to be proud of. So
thank you for your service.
Oh, thank you.
It's not all about me.
Right.
It's not all about
right.
me.
It really is a team effort when it comes to that sort of stuff, you know, and the stuff behind the scenes, you know, there's people, well, you know, before I get on the soapbox, I'm going to shift this back to the point of this project. But thank you very much, and I appreciate you, you know, you acknowledging my service, definitely. You know, this being a show of challenges and overcoming challenges, there's really been, within the last few years, one major challenge that you've been having to fight, to battle with. I was wondering if you might be able to share that story with us. You can start wherever you like. It'll go whichever direction you want to go. You know, I'm sure you've told the story before, but if you wouldn't mind.
Okay, if I can, let me start with why I decided to do this for you. This way out. When you invited me, I thought, what's this all about? And as I said to you, there are people who have far greater stories than my story. I'm humble, please, and I'm very grateful, you know. And then I started thinking about this way out of what? For me personally, what did you want? I actually, because that's just what I do, try to counteract what your questions might be, and you didn't tell me in advance, so I thought, this way out of weakness, this way out of trouble, this way out of darkness, this way out of hurt, this way out of, you know, disillusion, this way out of so many things, and it all rolled into me. And the journey that you're talking about is my forever journey, and I'm a breast cancer survivor, and two of my nieces, Anitra and Tiffany, they are very, very sensitive about pink and giving me pink things, because they always say, that's not all that happened to Aunt Vanessa. Mm-hmm. And the first time I heard them say that, you know, it brought me to tears, because it really isn't all that's happened to me. Right. But there are times when it feels like it's the only thing that happened to me. And so that journey is a journey that the whole family takes with you. I was active duty when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and I had to tell my family that. And I thought, well, I was in Grand Forks, North Dakota, and I thought, how do I tell them and let them be okay? You know, and my commander was awesome. He let me come home. I was here in the Carolinas for 3 days, because I thought if they could see me and they could hear the story. And quite frankly, I whittled it down to, we got some work to do. I'm trusting God to get us through, so let's just go ahead and do it. And before I knew it, after I told my family what I had expectations of what was going to happen, we were all seated at the table, And they came back and said, well, here's what we came up with as to what's going to happen. And they took time away from their jobs and came out to North Dakota in cycles to care for me as I was recuperating. And it was a long journey. And I'm going to share this with you because I think it can help somebody. You know, I felt like I opted to be reconstructed because I didn't want to be different. I did not want to be set apart in that way. I wanted to be set apart in my spiritual walk with God, but not in this way where people could say she's different. And unfortunately, twice, I'm 3%. In that 3% number, my body rejected the implants, and so the scars ran deep. And I had great counseling, but more importantly, I had super friends who I call family, and they're not all connected by blood, that reminded me of it's a journey, and it's a baby step journey, and so you keep doing because what's happening is bigger than you. And sometimes, you know, one of my brothers even said, I don't get this, Vanessa. Why did this happen to you? You know, you believe in God, you pray all the time, you know, and God doesn't penalize us in that way. And a lot of times, and again, I'm going to announce my spiritual conviction, is that some of the things that we go through isn't just for us, it's for other people. Because if I, looking back now, I'm almost at my 5 year of being in remission, in just a few days as a matter of fact. If I look back now and said I would be sitting with you, telling you about this very personal, private matter, I would say no way, no how. You know, but I also know that there is someone that needs to hear this story. I also know that, and I'm an advocate for, that I was blessed. You know, I had insurance, you know, I had a great family that rallied around me. There's a lot of men and women, because men suffer from breast cancer as well, that did not and will not have the opportunity that I have. There will be a lot of women who will go undiagnosed. There will be a lot of women that will get a diagnosis but not be able to have insurance or the financial ability to go further for treatment. I'm not talking about reconstruction, I'm talking about just treatment. So I'm an advocate for that. So this is my way out in terms of the private journey that I had to make it a very public journey. At Grand Forks, going back, you know, how this unfolded, and if I can tell you that because it's a pretty interesting story. I had come back from deployment and my commander asked me to do a public service announcement because we were going into October Breast Cancer Awareness. I absolutely not. It's a personal decision. Every woman should take that, you know, seriously. Wouldn't do it. And so on the third time she came back and said, Chief, I really would like for you to do it. And the hospital, All True, had offered us an opportunity to do screening mammograms, all the women on a set day. And we did do that. Finally, I gave in. I did the public service announcement, and so women and I went down and we had the mammogram done, and I was invited back. I didn't think anything of it, so I went back 2 days later, and from there, that afternoon, I flew out to go TDY, and while I was TDY, they called and said, hey, Chief, could you come back? I got annoyed thinking somebody just had something disconnected. I said, hey, I did come back. And they go, well, we need you to come back again. I go, what are you looking for? Still furthest thing from my mind, cancer. And then they said, hey, well, when you, I said, I'm TDY. I was actually here, not here in South Carolina, but on the East Coast. And they're like, when are you coming back? I said, this is when I'm coming back, 21 days later. Here's when I'm coming. They said, what time? You know, it was a lot of interest. Right. So to make a long story short, I went back, you know, that morning, you know, we did another mammogram. They said, hey, could you wait? They did a biopsy, and I was like, what? You know, still didn't think of anything. Went to work, and, you know, chiefs have no duty hours. And so some 12 hours later, I got a missed call, and I thought, hey, let me call. And they said, I'm sorry. It's beyond after duty hours, the doctor's gone. And he said, can we leave a message? I said, well, I'm Vanessa Smallsbryant. He called me and he goes, he wants to talk to you. Thought nothing of it. So he called me back about 20 minutes. He says, there's no way I can sugarcoat it. I'm just going to be direct. I'm going to tell you we found cancer. And I said, cancer? And who? thinking maybe it was one of my
Wow.
troops,
Wow.
not me. And they
Right.
wanted me to break the ice.
Right.
And said, it's you. And I said, me. And I said, okay, so what are we going to do?
Right.
You know, and he says, well, we'd like for you to come in tomorrow morning because we think that we found quite a bit. And so I said, okay, fine. I simply called my commander and said, hey, I'm not going to be at the 9 o'clock meeting tomorrow. They think they found breast cancer, so we're going to go and work something out. I'll let you know when I'm done. And we hung up the phone. 5 minutes later, because she didn't live that far from me, she was like, what did you say?
Okay, so your commander, who lives only 5 minutes away from you,
Yeah.
is now standing on your doorstep?
So on my doorstep, I let her in, and she's like, what did you say? And I told her, she said, did you call your family? And I said, no. I said, I think it's a mistake.
Right.
I'm going to go to my appointment in the morning, and we'll get it all worked out.
Right.
She said, just like that? And I said, just like that. And so when I got there that morning, the next morning, he had the diagrams up, and he goes, that's where it is. It was found in my left breast. And I was like, okay, so what are we going to do? And he says, well, we're going to need to remove it. And I was like, okay. And so I'm hearing it, and I wasn't in denial. I'm pressing forward, I'm listening.
Right.
And I said, well, let's just go ahead and do it. He goes, well, wait, it's not that simple. I said, what, you do a little bit of cutting, and then what, like 30 days of convalescent leave? He goes, no, that's not what we're talking about. So without going into a lot of it, because what I want to focus on for your production is that, one, faith conquers all things. And two, the journey of cancer or any type of health issue, the majority of it, and I'm going to speak about cancer because that's the journey I walk, the majority of that is in your head in terms of what you want to do. Or what do I want to come out of? I want to come out being normal. I want to come out living life. I want to come out with people understanding that, yes, this happened to me, but there's still life beyond this. You know, and actually my brother said it best in my most emotional moment. He says, your breasts don't make you who you are. But at that time, I kept thinking, this is one other thing that made me different than other people. And people were like, focus on the things that you've accomplished. Well, I couldn't do that. And sometimes in our lives, we unfortunately shift priorities. Again, I'm announcing my spiritual value. The devil will make you think that what you are tripping over is actually a deep hole that you cannot get out of. But if you just slow yourself down, allow yourself to just hear God's small voice, and then listen to the friends who are holding on to you, because truly, to be honest with you, if I didn't have the anchor of friends and family, there were twice, I could tell you twice, might have been more, but twice specifically, that I just didn't want to do this anymore. Especially after the implant rejected the first time, and then the second time. And then they said, we can't do this again. And I said, what do you mean we can't do this again? What am I going to look like? And then at that point now, I saw these scars, the scars that went from here to here, from here to here. And I thought, what about that says that I'm human? What about that says that I'm feminine? What about that says that I can get over this? Well, easily a moment of being duped and deceived. Why? Because all that we are, all that we were created to be, was to help other people. And whether we lose our breath, whether we lose a limb, it's about what you do with what God has given to you. Whether it's what you do with your time, what you do with your natural talents, what you do with your skills, what you do with your friendship. You know, because even in this moment right here, for you to reach out to me, I thought about it, and I didn't even have a whole week. Like, what am I going to do with that? And I asked you, what do you want from me? You know, what do you want from me? Because I truly know that there are people who have suffered far greater. I know for a fact, you know, my brother-in-law, Glenn, he was diagnosed with lung cancer, you know, some 4 weeks after I was diagnosed. And he lost his fight. It was a quick fight. You know, and so I had to stop and think, well, how is it that he lost his fight and I'm still in the fight?
Right.
And then I knew then that I got to fight for his legacy.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to fight for the legacy for people who believed in me. So when I took on the challenge of this way out, because I want people to understand that there is nothing special about me. There's nothing different about me in terms of other people and what I offer folks. I want to live life to the fullest, but I also want to know that every single thing that God gave me in terms of love, compassion, and my ability, God, my natural skills, I want to be able to pour it out to other people. Because I say all the time to some folks, there's a lot of overweight people in the cemetery. And here's what that means. They're taking all their gifts and talents with them, buried with them, because they didn't exhaust it in this life. So that's what I want to do. If you had to say, hey, Vanessa, give me one thing, one measure of philosophy for this way out for somebody, get up and keep trying. Every day's not going to be a golden graham day.
Nope.
Get up and keep trying.
Yep. Yep.
You know, and you'll find that when you get up and keep trying, somebody latches onto you.
Yep.
And then that person latches on to somebody
That's
else.
Right. Yep.
And then the next thing you know, you got a whole village saying, you can do it.
Yeah.
Not only are they saying you can do it, they're saying, I'll help you when you can't do it. And that truly has been my journey. You know, and as I said to you here in this house, all these different colors, because I've been in darkness.
Right.
I felt depression. I felt defeated. I felt unworthy. And I said, Lord, if you spare my life, I will not ever want to be in darkness again. So wherever you see and hear, there's light. You know why? Because that's the light God has given me. And that's the light I want to give somebody else. Because quite frankly, it's not about me. It's about what I can do for you and what I can do for the next person. And I support the platform that you have, because this ain't Hollywood.
Nope. Not at all.
And we don't need to be looking to those stars for fortitude. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Exactly
for motivation.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
It's right here.
Yep.
It's right here.
Yep.
And just to reach out. You know, I tell you, yesterday I was in the DMV, and I had just a question. The lines was long, and it was a couple there, and the guy had a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. I said Happy New Year to them. And then I said, well, I'm not talking to you because you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. So I'm talking to the woman you're with. He said, that's my wife. So I hugged her. I said, I'm going to hug you because you're in cowboy country. You know, and he said, you know what? I could tell that you were a cowboy. I could tell by the way you were talking. Why? Because you needed a friend.
Oh.
And I thought, wow. And then people are just looking, you know, and all of a sudden it's kind of like a spectacle. But then the woman, you know, when we finally got to the desk, she goes, this is the most laughter we've had since the DMV opened this morning. You know, and I said, I just want people to kind of take it easy. You know what? Life is serious as it is.
Right.
Tragedy is all around us. Nobody ever comes to a pity party.
That's right. That's right.
And
That's
the reason,
right.
and trust me, I've thrown many pity parties. I've even had the best of food, but still nobody came.
Yeah.
And the DJ doesn't even come because he's like, I don't even have music in my repertoire, Vanessa, to help you with that pity party. So why not?
There are
Flip
only
the
so many
script.
90s jams, you know what
Exactly.
I mean?
So you're with me, bro.
Yeah.
You're with me. So you got to dig deep within.
Yeah.
You know, I look at, and I'm going to do shout outs, you know, Colonel Derek Floyd, who's been with me for 25 years at my lowest. And each time when we talk, he goes, make it a fantastic day, V. Absolutely. You know, and you would spend time in Grand Forks, so you might even know, you know, my second angel, Norm Becker. You know, at my lowest, when I didn't take phone calls, he would come, rap on that door, I wouldn't open it. He knew I was in here because I just couldn't get it together.
Right.
But he never gave up on me. And now, you know, I'm stepping out of my comfort zone. This is step number 2, to do this with you. To say to folks that just when you think that you're alone, just when you think that you've got nobody that's thinking about you, rooting for you, encouraging you, wanting better for you, that's a lie. Because there is somebody. They don't all know you by your name, just like a lot of folks prayed for me, didn't know me by my name. But now I try to let that light because I've come out of darkness, I like to let people see it. Because life is too short.
So there's a song that I like to refer to when it comes to lightness and darkness, and it's you know the country singer Randy Travis?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, do you think because I'm black I don't know?
No,
I'm messing with you. I'm messing with you.
It's been, look, I've been there before. I've stepped on those landmines, and unintentional, and it has happened. So, no. But Randy Travis has this song called "Love's Alive and Well," and there's a lyric that says, "I've seen one little candle keep away the darkness all by itself," and I'll be honest with you, that lyric, along with a couple of other small whispers from the Almighty, is what inspired me to start this project. Because I want to, through this project, I would like to try and be at least that one small candle. Because if it's that one small light in the world, that as long as it stays lit, the darkness can't conquer all. It won't win.
Absolutely.
You know, it won't win. And the other thing that I'm trying to show through this project, through that message of sharing the light in the world, is that the light that so many people are having difficulty seeing is right there. It's right in front of you. Yeah. Everybody that you see walking on the street, I said, I almost guarantee you, because I say on this thing, you know, everybody has a story. Yeah. All you have to do is reach out to someone, and not everybody's a talker. No, not everybody's a talker. Don't expect to walk up and say, hey neighbor, how's everything going? Hey neighbor, how you know, yes. Right back at you, you know. But somebody out there is willing to talk, and somebody out there wants to talk. Somebody out there has to talk. There's a lot of therapy in conversation. There's a lot of therapy in communication, and somebody out there has to tell their story. I feel privileged to be able to be a platform for you to share your story. I know that you say that I understand what you mean when you say there's nothing special about you, because you're just like everybody else. But the experience that you had in your fight against cancer is not one that everybody experiences. There's a painting that you have up in a room where there's 5 women. I think you're at the center of the picture.
I am.
Right? But you're surrounded by 5 different women. Who are those women?
Those women complete me. That's my mother, my biological mother, my grandmother, my godmother who gave me the name Vanessa, my mother-in-law who loves me to the high heavens, and my one and only biological sister. Mm-hmm. You know, all that I am, all that I've become, mm-hmm. was extracted from the power, yeah. the insight, the wisdom, yeah. the fortitude, the determination, the tenacity of those 5 women. Yeah,
those are your 5 pillars of strength.
Right there.
Those are your people.
Right there.
Those are the pillars that you stand on. That's your
yeah.
foundation.
Yeah.
So, what a blessing, you know. And you know, it hurts me a little to say this, but not everybody has that, you know, in their own lives. So, you know, at this point, or not at this point, but you know, I pray that for those people who don't have that in their life, that they find it, or they're able to see it eventually at some point for themselves. That, just like you said, there's somebody out there who wants to help those that need the help. There are people out there who are willing to give their time and their talents, and for those who need it. So I pray for those people who feel that they are alone in this
Absolutely.
world. But for you, for someone who knows where their source of strength comes from, what a blessing, you know. What an awesome feeling. I take a risk here by presuming this, but it's almost a given to say that, of course you came through this. You have all this strength.
No! Oh my God!
Of course, you know.
Today is a golden graham day,
right.
But every day isn't, you know.
Right.
But here's what I've learned in my journey. I get to choose. So for those days when I was in darkness, I chose that, because it wasn't like there weren't people wanting to help me.
Right.
You know,
right.
ringing, my doorbell by calling me on the phone. And I want to backtrack a little bit, and because and you said that through your production, through your platform, that you're trying to highlight that there is good news out there. I want to correct you. You are doing that.
Okay.
Take try out of your vocabulary. You are doing that. And I'm hoping, my prayer is not just because I'm your guest this time, but that more people will understand and gravitate to what you're doing. As simple. I shared this just recently with my church during Breast Cancer Awareness Month back in October. As I told you, Reconstruction failed twice. And so what we've been doing for the last year is, creating a prosthesis. And I had some issues with that. Let me back up to tell you that part of the journey was my body trying to accept the implant and then my body rejecting it. And that brought forth a whole lot of other issues. There was a time where 18, 20 months ago, I couldn't even do this. Mm. And so that's why the drums are up there. Mm-hmm. The doc thought that it would be good therapy, just using the drumsticks and eventually moving out and moving out and moving out and beating. When people come up there, they go, "Oh, wow, you're a drummer." That's therapy, and that allowed me to do this. But I say that to say this, that I shared with them that sometimes the prosthesis is uncomfortable. And a month ago, back in October, I went into Walmart for my first public appearance without my prosthesis. Mm-hmm. And I passed the mirror and I saw, in my mind, mm-hmm. how different I was. Got out of the store because I thought everybody could see, that, wow, she doesn't have breasts. Mm-hmm. See, sometimes, oh my gosh, sometimes the facade that's created in our lives doesn't come from other people. Mm-hmm. It comes from us. Because see, if you put it in your mind, it connects to your heart, and from your heart, it wells back up and comes to your mouth, and then you start to hear it in your head. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so I sat in my car and just cried, like, wow, the whole world, by my standard, the whole world saw that I was different. The whole world was watching, when in fact, it's probably not a single soul was paying me attention, yeah. But it was real to me. Mm-hmm. And so I got in my car and I left. And then I was determined, no, this is not going to get me, not going to get me. So I pulled into Ace Hardware, had nothing to get. I just had to get somewhere public where someone can see me and I not be afraid or intimidated mm-hmm. or made to feel inferior than everybody else. And that time, when I walked past, it was a display with chainsaws and stuff in it. And I just kind of looked, and I looked, and I saw me. Mm-hmm. Then I kind of looked, and I know people were like, what in the world's wrong with her? She want a chainsaw? And I looked at them, and I just kind of like shook it off, and I go, whew, there you go, Vanessa. That's you. Baby steps. Mm-hmm. And we have to encourage other people to take those baby steps. Mm-hmm. Like I told you, I don't think that you thought of it for me, but when you came to me and asked me to do this, you were reaching out to me. Because when you and I had talked, I was just 5 days from having a major surgery. Mm. You didn't know that.
No, I didn't know
December 9th. Yeah. And I was processing, before we got to that, was, here we are again. Another surgery. But look where we are now. Mm-hmm. Look where I am now. Why? Because my family, my friends, my church, people were right there like, come on, girl. And then some people were like, you had surgery and you're here, and you had surgery, you're doing this? Well, guess what? First of all, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And for people who don't believe, again, my spiritual value announced, who don't believe that there is a God and miracles happens every day, I am that miracle. Because there were some doctors saying that there were some things I wasn't going to do. Right. But they gave me a great team. The doctors in I call it a power circle, mm-hmm. have been a phenomenon. You know, Rebecca Physical Therapy has been phenomenal. I mean, not only did she fix me as a time when I couldn't move my arms, I couldn't even put stuff in the microwave, she also ministered to me. She didn't realize that, you know, and then I found out, she goes, you know, you, Vanessa, are the first breast cancer patient who went through the journey that you did. There's some things going on with you that I've been charged to fix for you that I've had no experience. And I go, what? And that wasn't fair. I was like, wow, once again, opportunity. See, that's what happens when we allow ourselves to come through.
Yeah.
This is the way out, sharing. If you had told me 4 years ago that I would be talking to you about this very personal matter, baloney, absolutely not. But I found out that it encourages someone. And even if it encourages just one person, bro, that's one more than what we had.
Yeah.
Because the journey doesn't have to be as difficult, you know, for others. And I would sit, even if I don't know a stranger, knowing they're going through this, and do it if it makes it easier for them. And that's what your platform offers. That's what I stamp my seal of approval on. I see you doing great and wonderful things. I'm humbled as all get out.
Thank you.
To be a part of this, that you chose me, and as I told you that night, why'd you choose me? What do I have? Nothing special.
I was called to you.
and I received that.
Yeah.
And so keep on doing what you're doing, and I think you're going to find that it'll encourage other people to step out of themselves, because the journey, it wasn't meant just for me. Did I know it would unfold this way, manifest itself this way? No. Did I have the confidence and faith that I would be able to do this, to share this? No. But I'm grateful to God, because our responsibility is to give to others. I take that responsibility very seriously. Our responsibility is to help each other. It's not all about us. Let's just get what we can get and keep it for ourselves.
Right.
That's not the path of this life. Yeah. So thank you.
I agree.
Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for, I don't know, highlighting little old me.
Well, you are welcome. And for all the reservations that you might have had for sharing your story, I think you did a great job.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I think you did a really, really great job. I think you did a really great job, and I think you should be proud of yourself. You did amazing. Never in a million years would I have thought that I would tell a chief, either active or otherwise, that they should be proud of themselves. But you should be proud of yourself.
I need to hear it.
You should be proud of yourself.
I need to hear it.
And I'm grateful, and I feel privileged, and I'm honored that you chose, that you had the confidence to share that story on this platform, because that is a very, very personal struggle, and it's a very personal experience, and you know, like you said, you know, it's not one that can be shared easily. So I feel grateful that I'm grateful that you felt comfortable to do that.
You're in my power circle now.
Yeah.
You're
well, congratulations. You've been through a lot, and it sounds like you've come a long way. So, you know, good for you.
God has been good to me. He's given me more than what I deserve, and I honor him, and I look forward, you know, to getting feedback from you, because you know, it doesn't have to just be breast cancer. It could be anything that people are struggling with.
Right.
You know, to let them, to encourage them and let them know you're not in it by yourself.
Right.
You know?
Well, we've kind of run a little bit longer than expected, but I do want you to talk about a little bit about what you have going on now. Like, you do public speaking, you do
just started my business, Empower Radical Truth.
Right.
Yeah, and so I'm excited about that.
How did that come about?
Gosh, I had been doing words of encouragement for my brother and sister. I explained to you, we don't use in-laws in my family, so my sister-in-law. And every morning I would text them and encourage them, you know. And they died 12 days apart from each other, not quite 2 years ago. And after the funeral, I shared with my entire family. I said, this is what I did every morning for them. This is how I encourage them. This is how I nurture them. And the intent was to just let them see how I was encouraging them. And then what came back was, oh, great. Well, just send it to us every day. And so it was just words of encouragement, words of motivation. It was just stuff that popped in my head, things that I was going through to encourage someone. And so, excuse me, again, my mentor, Colonel Derek Floyd, said, you got to share this. And I was like, okay. And so I started inviting people. I was texting this on my phone. And then last February, Colonel Floyd said, Via, I got someone for you. And his name is Greg Frazier. We've never met. We've been working together from February till now. And he came and said, I can build a website for you. And I can get you out there, get your name out there for what you do. And so I had already had a name, and we just put it together. And Power Radical Truth is all about, and it's funny because it's married actually to your platform.
Yeah,
it's all about inspiring people at my level, our level. You know what I'm saying? People are looking to the movie stars, and all that stuff isn't real. All that stuff isn't normal. All that stuff isn't natural. I wanted people to understand, and especially, and I don't think I shared this with you, but I'm a minister, so I wanted them to know that even as a minister, a person of faith, sometimes I struggle. There's been times when, like I told you, not just through the surgery, I mean, I retired from the Air Force, but I was so inundated with the journey of breast cancer survivorship, it didn't even feel like I had done time in the military. It seemed like such a distant time, a distant period of time in my life. And so we came up, we worked together, and I said, this is what I wanted to do. I got a branding. He says, we're going to brand you. People want to hear your message. But here's the thing. Here's the thing about Empower Radical Truth. It's not just from the spiritual side of it. It's motivation. It's about leadership. I mean, I know just a tad bit about leading, just a tad bit. And so it's about inspiring and encouraging. And from that, you know, people have heard me either who heard me preach and said, hey, would you come and do this event for me? And we started doing that. I'm a huge advocate for youth. I'm a huge advocate, obviously, for breast cancer, for PTSD, you know, for veterans, you know, especially homelessness. Why are veterans homeless? And I say to folks all the time that while they may see a homeless veteran, typically it's a male, but there are homeless female veterans, and they're not by themselves.
Right.
They're in tow with their children. Why is that? And so I'm using my God-given gifts and talent and the platform, as you said, that I have. And so that's what we're doing with Empower Radical Truth. People have reached out to me, you know, I'm working toward, hopefully, using your platform, it'll give me more exposure. But the folks from the Department of Homeland Security just offered me an opportunity to come to them coming up in April to do a leadership symposium, you know. And I just recently, well, back in the spring, I did a girls conference for young girls transitioning from the 5th grade to the 6th grade. That's so important. Development, our personal development, empowerment, equipping, leading, and guiding. What I used to do with my family was called Today's Message. You know, my branding consultant has now morphed that into Daily Insight, and I'm putting content out there every day about everyday things. Set it off. Don't let people determine how high your altitude will go.
That's right.
Concentrate and focus. Because see, what happens when we get depressed, we're no longer concentrating. You know, we shift to a position of helplessness. We shift to a position of abandonment. We shift to a position of isolation. I've been there. So I'm talking about stuff I know. I'm not talking about stuff from a textbook.
Right.
And then I just simply give it to folks. And it's like this. I make myself vulnerable so that folks will know that it's possible.
Yes, right.
And I want to say something to you because you started off, you know, with the intro. I struggled through school. Struggled. And some folks who have read my Daily Insight, getting toward the 10th grade, 11th grade, my guidance counselor sat down with my dad and said, we can't even recommend a trade school or the military for Vanessa. She lacks the ability to articulate herself and to put concepts together. See, be careful about what people speak over your life.
Yeah.
Because my mom said, not my child. And it was a struggle. And I struggled through school. And after I left school, I knew I wanted to go in the military. I started out in the Marine Corps and I figured, okay, I'm good, I'm strong. And then I transitioned to the Air Force. Well, what does the Air Force do, bro? School. In school. And I was like, oh my gosh, where am I? I wanted to click my heels.
Yeah.
But I learned that the very thing I feared was the thing that I had to face. Wait a minute, did you hear that? The very thing that you fear is the thing you have to face.
Yeah, every time.
Every time.
Yeah.
And so that accounted for the 34 years of military service. I had 29 years in school. Because it was a boogeyman.
Yeah.
You know, and just like in this moment right here with you, it's the boogeyman. That moment, seeing my reflection without my prosthesis on in Walmart, was a boogeyman.
Yeah.
You know, the days when I can't get up because I feel different, I feel left out and locked out, it's the boogeyman. So you got to get up, you got to put lights on, you got to push your way through.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so again, that's why I chose your platform, This Way Out. It's kind of like having a baby, and I lost a child. So I didn't go through that full experience. But when you're trying to get out, you got to push. And sometimes that pushing hurts.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you got to pant, take those short breath, but you got to keep on pushing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because you find out when you push, that light that looks like this, gets like this.
Yeah.
I realize that I've gone off track, but man, I just have a passion for the journey that we all have. And it's a different journey, but it leads down the same road. At some point, some sector in my journey, I've encountered you. Because something in your life has encountered a situation like me.
Yeah.
But you've got to keep pushing. Because sometimes we resist the very thing that is strange to us. Well, truth be told, every single thing in our lives was strange to us. We got taught to adapt. We got taught to overcome. We got taught to go around. We got taught to go through. Mm-hmm. We got taught to go over. That lesson hasn't changed.
Yeah.
It hasn't. So we got to keep on doing that.
Yeah. This
way out is up.
That's right. Yeah. The idea for This Way Out comes from a few places, but it's like it's actually kind of like a dual. It's like a dual message, right? First of all, there's a story that I heard, and you may have heard it too, where it's like a lesson in empathy, and somebody falls in a hole, right? Somebody falls in a hole, and people are passing by the hole, and they're saying things like, "Ooh, man, you're stuck in that hole. I feel bad for you. I really do. I really do. I wish I could help you. I really wish I could help you. But I'm busy. I got stuff. Somebody's coming, I'm sure. You know?" And there's another person goes by and is like, "Man, are you okay? You know, is everything okay in there?"
Yeah.
You know, and the person's calling, "Help me out. You know, help me out of this hole. I'm stuck." It's like, I wish I could. I'm afraid to make a mistake. That sort of stuff. And then person gives up. The person gives up. They give up on themselves. They give up on their chance to get out of this hole. They believe they're stuck in their mind. And then somebody jumps in the hole with them. And the person that's in that hole they get upset.
Yeah.
Like, "What are you doing in here?" You know?
Yeah.
I've been calling for help, you know? And now there's no room in here for the both of us. What are you doing? And the person just says, "I've been here before. I know the way out."
Wow.
Yeah. Just follow me.
Yeah.
And so This Way Out is like saying, is like saying, "I hear you. I want to help you. And I've been there, and this is how you get out."
And when I think about what you just explained to me in my radical truth, because some people were afraid, they're like, "Oh, Vanessa, you may not want to use that word radical." Radical is outside the box.
Yeah.
Radical is like, just when the world has said you can't do it, you reach inside. Even if you're just pulling at that little belly button and it just bores itself up, you reach inside and say, "Not only did I think I can, I'm going to do it."
Yep.
And you don't do it just to show other people. My journey, the successes and failures, there's been lots of failures. I didn't always hit the mark. But the tenacity from those 5 pillars upstairs that you saw was, girl, you better remember who you are. You better remember whose you are.
Yeah.
You better know where you're going. And it pushes you. That's that radical thought. You know what I'm saying? And what happens is that we've got so much negativity and negative energy falling on us that we can't see the light.
Yeah.
That we do lose hope.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to turn the radio on because it's sad news. Well, guess what? There's good news all around us.
That's right.
Open your eyes and just look at it. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Just for you to do this, in and of itself, brings good news to somebody.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so.
It will.
Yeah.
I didn't say hope, dog. I said it will.
Okay.
That's confirmation.
Yeah.
Don't make me take you out back. That's old school leadership.
Yeah.
My bad. Keep on trying.
I got you. I appreciate it. Hey, tough love. It's a lost art.
It is.
Well, if you don't mind, I'm going to wrap this episode up here, and we
Thank
can continue to keep talking here in a
Thank you.
minute. But I really appreciate you. I'm getting all emotional here just a little bit. I really appreciate you sharing. For those of you tuning in, this was Dr. Vanessa Smallsbryant, Vanessa Chief, who's shared an amazing story with us. And I feel privileged to have been here to hear it firsthand. And I really hope somebody out there is able to learn something from it, take something away from it, hopefully use it. If you liked this episode and you want to see future episodes, be sure to click that subscribe button. Click on the little bell so that way you get notifications of future episodes. You may remember from previous episodes, I've got a presence on social media, on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, and all that stuff is in the links, so you can look that stuff up there. Also on my website, thisglow-light.com. I got blogs, got feature articles there, got a copy of this article there, and now I've got a podcast there. So be sure to tune in. It's all about sharing the light. It's all about trying to share some good in the world. Show that there's good out there. You just gotta do a little digging. But thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for tuning in. God bless.
Follow him. Follow him.